Welcome to Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hartley. Join us for an hour of music and conversation from Shawbucks in Jamestown, New York. Tonight's guests are the Bryan Bowers Band. Now please welcome our host, Ken Hartley, with Geoff Goodhue and Danny Knicely.
My brother home to me when this war is done. Give us all the joys we shared ere it had begun. Bring my brother home to me, never more to stray. This is all my earnest prayer through this weary day. Bring him back. Bring him back with a smiling healthful glee. Bring him back, bring him back. Bring my brother back to me. All the house is lonely now, and my voice no more. In this pleasant summer eve's greet him at the door. Nevermore I hear a step at the garden gate, while I sit in anxious tears, knowing not his fate. Bring him back, with a smiling healthful glee. Bring him back, bring him back, bring my brother back to me. Brother back to me from his battle strife. Those who watch us over good shield his precious life. When this war has passed away, safe from all alarms, bring my brother home again into his family's arms. Bring him back, bring him back, bring my brother back to me. Bring him back, bring him back, bring my brother back to me. Bring him back, bring him back, bring him back, bring him back, with a smiling healthful glee. Bring him back, bring him back, bring my brother back to me.
Rolling Hills Radio is funded in part by the New York State Council on the Arts Decentralization Re-Grant Program, with support from the New York State Legislature and Governor Andrew Cuomo, and administered by the Tri-County Arts Council. Rolling Hills Radio is underwritten in part by the Jamestown Gazette, the hometown newspaper with good news.
Thank you, Julia Cecil Hanley, and welcome to Rolling Hills Radio, brought to you from Shawbucks, the club concert venue nestled in the entertainment district of Jamestown, New York, on the shores of beautiful Chautauqua Lake. On Rolling Hills Radio, you will hear music from a wide range of genres. It's all grassroots Americana music. This episode, we feature one of the greats, one of the legends of American music. He plays a distinctly American instrument, the Autoharp, for which the U.S. patent was awarded to Charles Zimmerman in 1882. About 90 years later, a man burst onto the scene and revolutionized the instrument, inventing a style that would redefine the instrument. Bryan did for the Autoharp what Earl Scruggs did for the banjo, along with Chet Atkins, David Grisman, Stefan Grappelli, Yitzhak Perlman, Tony Rice, and Mark O'Connor. He was inducted into Fret Magazine's first gallery of greats after 5 years of winning the stringed instrument open category of that magazine reader's poll. He is the first living member inducted into the Autoharp Hall of Fame, an institution which recognized greats like Mother Maybelle Carter and Sara Carter. Here he is with his great band playing high on a mountain. Please welcome the Bryan Bowers Band to the Rolling Hills Radio stage.
Thinking about the days that used to be. High on a mountain, standing all alone, wondering where the years of my life have flown. As I looked at the valleys down below, they were green just as far as I could see. Memory returned, and how my heart did yearn for you and the days that used to be. Oh, I wonder, do you ever think of me? Or has time blotted out your memory? The breeze whisper gently through the trees. I'll always cherish what you meant to me. High on a mountain, wind blowing free, thinking about the days that used to be. High on a mountain, standing all alone, wondering where the years of my life have flown. Wondering where the years of my life have flown. Wondering where the years of my life have flown.
Bryan Bowers Band. Wow. Some harmonies there. No wonder the New Music Express referred to you, Bryan, as positively celestial. I see why that is now.
You do?
Well, you know, I don't really know what celestial means, but I'm sure it had to do with that.
Celestial is not a word I would use to describe me.
Is that right? New Music Express got that wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Early on, I understand that you were influenced, Bryan, by singing field workers, railroad workers. Is that right?
That's right. I was raised in Virginia, out in the Tidewater, and the field hands would, my wake-up call would be hearing the creak of the gate that they kept the tools inside. And the creak of the grate would come open, and then you hear the folks, give me that one, that's mine, and they'd get the hose out. And then you'd hear the grate creak as it was shut, and the latch of the lock wasn't even a lock, they didn't lock it, it's peg. And then about 5 minutes later, after they walked a little ways away from the house, you would hear the singing of the call and answer music start up as they went to the fields. This was about 15 minutes pre-dawn, because they had been served breakfast by the farmer before in the dark. But they would go out to the fields and be poised with hose in hand, waiting for the first stroke of sunlight so they could see whether they were hoeing crops or weeds.
Oh, yeah.
And they would hoe the weeds out. And so I would hear them, and I would go out there and try to sing with them, you know, and stuff. And then the Gandy dancers would come down the railroad track too, railroad workers with the short-haired old hickory sledgehammers and the prize bars, and they'd be lining the tracks, you know. Oh, yeah. And they would sing call and answer music. So call and answer music was everywhere. And I was always singing. I didn't know anything, but I was trying to sing, you know. What did I know? I was just mesmerized by this panoply of magic music continually all around me at all times.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So they sang while they worked then?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It was really good, too, you know, because they'd have the people that think you're going to go out into the sun where it's 110 degrees in the sun and maybe 105 in the shade, you know, and go like, with the hoe. That ain't the way that worked. It was like,
kept a rhythm.
It was a rhythm,
yeah,
and it was slow because they were going for the long haul. They were working from dawn to dusk for 50 cents a day, and breakfast and lunch. That was their pay.
Well, that's really something.
Yeah, man. Beautiful stuff. I was privileged to be around. I still have a couple of the songs in my head, old call and answers, you know, songs. And of course, the gospel songs, there was call and answer gospel songs. I have a bunch of those too. But the field chants were largely bawdy. They were bawdy.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. You want to try a wild bawdy? Oh, no, wait a minute. We got a whole set here, boys. What am I doing here? I'm veering off on...
Maybe we better stick to a song from your new album. You have an album in the can right now. It's called,
Danny's been mixing it.
Woodland Dreams it's called. And you're doing a whole bunch of songs from that album. In fact, this upcoming song is from that album. Why don't you tell us about it, Bryan?
This is a song I wrote for a friend of mine down in Nashville named Ron Wall, who wrote a song we're going to do later in the second half. That song of his is called Patty Ann. And this one is a song I wrote for him because he's a workaholic, up at 4 in the morning, out the door by 5, works till 5, 12 hours down at the place where he works. You know, he has a big factory and 300 employees, and then he comes home and has supper and does stuff with the kids, and then him and the wife read the child the little, you know, stories and say their prayers and go to sleep. But he's a workaholic. 7 days a week he does that. And so I thought, since the one time I did have him take me out and we drank huge margaritas and got completely blazing, he revealed a side of himself I had never seen, and he was much like a pirate that night. So this song is called The Pirate's Night Out, and it was me attempting to give him a little fun. That, yeah, anyway.
Pirates. Looks like Pirates Night Out, the Bryan Bowers Band.
Out.
The Bryan Bowers Band. Danny Knicely, Geoff Goodhue. You've got that new album coming out soon. I understand Danny's got another mix to do, right? You can pre-order the album. Tell us how you do that.
You can. You can go to the record label's website and just pre-order it there. It's the label's called Patuxent Music, named after the river down in Maryland, and you can get it to it's pxrec.com, and it's just comes right up. You can pre-order it.
Great. Or order it after it's.
I might order one myself. I can't wait for that dang thing to come out.
I think you're gonna like it, Danny. Well, Bryan, I have a couple more questions for you. First of all, why did you start playing the autoharp? Where you said to yourself, I'll play the autoharp. That gets the girls, or what?
I started on guitar again. And the best week musically of my life was the week I saw Jimi Hendrix live twice, and that was not the high point. The high point was seeing Mississippi John Hurt 3 times the same week.
Yeah.
And I learned to play a few, finger-picking guitars, songs and things. And then I went to a jug band party in Richmond, Virginia, and there was a guy playing the autoharp. And I'd seen them all my life. They never were in tune, strings missing, teachers one litany of excuses after another why they weren't playable. And this guy was playing it. No finger picks, hard calcareous fingernails. He played Shady Grove and just played the melody. And then he said, look, here, and he put the harp against my chest. He said, now, here, wrap your arms around it, put your left hand butt out on the chord, push down on that. And he said, now, put your ear right up there like this, and then strum the chord, holding that down. I did, and I was, went and bought one the next day, never dreaming it would turn into a complete and total obsession.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I practiced all I could, but I wasn't making much headway till I started figuring out that if I drove my delivery truck to deliver the outlying copy to the outlying areas of the Richmond Times-Dispatch newspaper in Richmond, that if I took steering wheel knobs, they used to call suicide knobs, and put on the steering wheel at 11 or 1 o'clock, left hand, right hand. Instead of that, I took the steering wheel knobs and put them underneath the steering wheel at 5 and 7 o'clock, steered with my knees, and played the autoharp 8 hours a day, and got paid for it. That's when I started to get better. I can actually drive better with my knees than most people can with their hands.
Oh, you're scaring me, Bryan.
I had some Russian friends in San Francisco who didn't believe it, so I took them out in rush hour and drove them around while they were drinking tequila in the back. Vodka, it was vodka. They were drinking vodka, and I was driving with my knees, and they were going, it was quite a wild scene, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I know, man. There's a whole raft of non sequiturs coming your way.
Yeah, you're the second guy this season that left me speechless. I don't wear steering wheel knobs. I'd forgotten all about those, and that's a good use for steering wheel knobs. But what you did was you revolutionized the autoharp. Now, what you said to yourself, well, here's a cool thing. I guess I'll come up with brand new things that nobody's ever thought of.
I never set out to do it that way.
Okay.
I didn't set out to do it that way. I was married, and my life was a desolate thing. I had gotten married, and my wife is a wonderful woman, but my life was desolate. Inside, I was desolate. I had a vision of myself internally as a dry lake bed. And every time I learned a tune, any tune, even Frere Jacques, Gold Watch and Chain, You Are My Sunshine, I had this vision of one tiny drop of crystalline blue water running down the gullies from the hills, down into the dry lake bed of my soul. And at first it was dry. And then each time there was a song or an instrumental, there was another drop, and pretty soon there was a little shimmering puddle there. And now, after 50 years, there's a spillway, there's bass, there's brim, there's, lily ponds, so, and my wife was a wonderful woman, but she had we would make love, and she would, in the midst of making love, say, don't get so excited. And I'd think, when am I supposed to get excited? So, can we play another song?
I think you're onto something there, Bryan. Let's do that.
This is a song that stole my heart when I heard it. It's by a gentleman named Dick Neville from the Northeast. And it poses the possibility of what might happen if we sold our song and dance and wound up having fortune but no music. This is The Woodland Dream, the title of the album.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bryan Bowers Band.
While wandering through the northern wood, I came to take my rest amidst a grove of graceful birch is where I lay my head, and the heavens were filled with fiery stars. Bright diamonds they did seem, and a band of angels did appear within my woodland dream. Now when first this vision filled my eyes, I dared not pay it heed, for on every angel's countenance grave sadness I did read. Oh, what could cause such a sorrow so deep? I asked of them quite plain, when one among the angel band came forward to explain. For years we danced and sang at will, like larks we sang for free. And though we lived a simple life, we knew no poverty. But then a stranger came around, a man from across the sea, and he carried treasures never known to our community. So we sold our dance and harmony for a pound of silver and gold. Now as these riches fade away, our silent hearts grow cold. So won't you play for us, my friend? Won't you spare us one short tune? Or else we'll spend eternity as silent as the moon. Well, a stranger tale I never heard, but she spoke so innocently that I played upon my highland pipe a tune called the Woodland Dream. And the sky became alive with sound of angel harmony, as sweet as springtime showers fall. They sang the Woodland Dream.
That was the Bryan Bowers Band. We'll be back to hear more about Bryan's legendary career and the three virtuosos plying their craft coming up in the second half of the show. So hang on for a minute. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hartley, episode 83. If you would like to be part of our live studio audience, log on to rollinghillsradio.org to get your ticket today, or call the Rolling Ticket Hotline at 716-294-0416. We'll be back after the break with more from the Bryan Bowers Band. The second half of our show begins in just a minute. Rolling Hills Radio is brought to you in part by the Jamestown Gazette and the Comfort Inn. If you would like to be included on the Rolling Hills email distribution list, send your email address to ken@rollinghillsradio.org. To hear or view this episode and all past episodes of Rolling Hills Radio, log on to rollinghillsradio.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And now, back to Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hartley.
Thank you, Julius Eastla Hanley. And we have lots more to go here from Jamestown, New York. We are broadcasting right up the hill from the banks of the romantic Chattacoin River. You can find us on non-commercial outlets from coast to coast. Rolling Hills Radio is nationally syndicated on global community radio, and it's our intention to stay non-commercial. I keep saying this, but it's more true than ever. Independent voices in media are more important than ever. With increasing pressure on the very few corporate controllers of the media outlets have no need to respond to that pressure, or no, like us, we have no need to respond to that pressure, and we're the necessary part of the very fabric of our way of life. Getting out of the mainstream of the media, it means that you never know what you're going to hear. For example, I was listening to a non-commercial radio station near me recently, and I heard that every time you lick a stamp, you burn 1/10 of a calorie. Then I was thinking, we don't lick stamps anymore. And look what happened. The Bryan Bowers Band is about to play another song for us. Ladies and gentlemen, Sitting on Top of the World with the Bryan Bowers Band on Rolling Hills Radio.
I'm sitting on top. baby, call me up on the telephone. Come back, baby, I'm so alone. And now she gone, but I don't worry, 'cause I'm sitting on top of the world. Don't want my peaches, don't shake my tree. Out of my garden, let my peaches be. Now she's gone, but I don't worry, 'cause I'm sitting on top of the world. 'Cause I'm sitting on top of the world. 'Cause I'm sitting on top of the
Bryan Bauer's band. Great stuff. Well, let's have a word with Danny Knicely over here. Danny, that thing that you're playing there, that looks like a guitar, but it's kind of not. Tell us about that.
This is actually a mandocello, and
A mandocello.
I can tell you that there's an instrument in the mandolin family for every instrument in the violin family, the violin being the highest. And then the next one down lower is called a mandola, like a viola. And then this would actually be tuned the same as a cello or a violin cello. This is just called the mandolin cello or a mandocello. They even make a mandolin bass that's shaped like a mandolin. And boy, these things are
It's like tits
huge.
on a boar
Yeah,
hog.
oh man, I tell you, it's but different.
And that's,
But this particular instrument was made probably in the 30s by Kalamazoo. It's one of Gibson's catalog companies and or catalog names, and it actually belongs to Bryan, and he lets me take care of it just on the East Coast sometimes. It's like an East Coast, West Coast instrument. Spends time on both.
Well, I got three of them. I got Mandocello fever. I got a Gibson, and I got a one-off that a guy made for his wife, and then she died of cancer, and he couldn't afford to, or couldn't bear to look at it without crying, so he sold it to a friend at a music store, and I bought it for him. But this color of this thing, we call it the ugly because the guy that found it for me is from Minneapolis. And he had the great story. You see this hole here? See the Willie Nelson hole there, the pick hole that's been fixed? The story we got from his wife, which was that the guy took this Mandocello to get it repaired, and they did the repair on here, and there was a crack in the back. They fixed it, hadn't moved ever since. But anyway, at the end of getting the Mandocello back and paying for it, he said, well, I've paid for the repair, but I don't have the money for a case. So how do I protect my instrument? They said, well, just keep it wrapped up, sir. So he goes home and wraps the instrument in 8 layers of bubble wrap, puts it in the closet, and drops dead in his soup at supper. It sits in the closet for 39 years. When they pulled it out last year, the chemicals from the bubble wrap had leached into the finish. And Curtis, before he opened the case, told me 5 times, "This is the ugly, man. It's ugly." I said, "Yeah, I get it. Open it." And he said, "This is the ugly." And he said, he's not going to mess with the finish because he's not sure it doesn't sound like this because of that. So we ain't messing. And this is the ugly. Hello, you've been enjoying playing with the girls and boys tonight? Yeah.
All right, well, you know, the moral of the story is don't wrap something in bubble wrap and die.
Right.
So let's hear another song with the mandocello. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bryan Bowers Band.
You're going to hear this. This is the song when we did the Pirates Night Out that I wrote for Ron. This is Ron Wall's tune, Patty Ann. We'll start, Geoff, and Danny and I, and then we'll have Geoff for a lead. And then you'll hear Danny. Danny's got to be supportive of Geoff and I all evening. Now, in the verse where he plays his lead, you'll hear what Danny can do. And then we'll do one more verse. Oh, a lot of pressure. Oh, okay. Here, let me reel that back in. Are you ready? Here's Patty Ann. Easy over there. Trying to work here. Well, maybe you'll not let me get started. Okay, here we go.
The Bryan Bowers Band. Beautiful, beautiful. A song called Patty Ann. Well, here's our good friend Geoff Goodhue back for, this is your third appearance on Rolling Hills Radio.
Yeah.
You're creeping up on the record here.
Oh, man. What an honor. Oh,
And vice versa, truly. Yeah, you've been here. We've talked about that you come from a musical family, the Goodhue Band, right? You have a band with your family?
Yeah. My dad got me into this kind of music pretty young, and he plays autoharp, and that's how I know Bryan. And my brother, he's a really talented accordion and piano player. And so we have a family band called the Goodhues. So,
what I just found out was you actually went to college for music, right? You went to the
Yeah.
Ohio University.
Yeah, I went down to Athens in Appalachia, just a little southwest of here, and studied percussion, the music school. So I'm a drummer, recovering drummer.
A drummer, the musician's best friend. So, Bryan, you've got another song for us, right?
Well, we have a song for you. And this song, I heard it 30 years ago when I was on a tour of Europe and was brought to tears by it and vowed to myself I would learn the song. And you know how those things go, Ken. Sometimes you make promises to yourself you keep, and sometimes you make promises to yourself and you drop the ball. So I dropped the ball and didn't learn the song for 30 years. And then 3 years ago, I heard friends of mine down in Arkansas, and they sang it, and I was once again brought to tears, only I stepped out on the porch and wiped the tears away so they wouldn't see me crying. And then I went home and had mirror time. You know about mirror time. Mirror time is when you go into the bathroom, close the door, no, not shaving, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you point your finger at yourself and you read yourself the riot act for not trying hard enough, for not putting enough effort in, for not doing your absolute very best. So I read myself the riot act for having let this song not be in my repertoire for 30 years. And then I learned it. I got off my lazy ass bacon and I learned it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bryan Bowers Band.
Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me a parting glass. Good night and joy be to you all. So fill to me a parting glass and drink a health whate'er befalls. Then gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I've had, they're sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I've had, they wish me one more day to stay. But since it fell unto my I should rise and you should not. I'll gently rise and softly call good night and joy be to you all. So fill to me a parting glass and drink a health whatever befalls, and gently rise and softly call good night and joy be to you all. Good night and joy be to you all.
Bryan Bowers Band. You guys have practiced together, haven't you? Very nice. Very. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you just jump right into another song for
All
us?
right, well, here's the deal with this one. This song is a song which, once I get the harp on the strap so that the strap does the lift that barge, tote that bale, and holds the harp in place without me having to do any of that, so I can put gentle, nice, loving touches with my fingers on the harps. Modal. And my Aunt Bess used to sing this song before she went out to get our Sunday chickens for dinner. She'd sing the melody on the way out to get our Sunday chickens. And after she had wrung the chickens' necks and threw the blinking heads down into the dirt, she would holler at us kids to get in here and get these chickens tied up on the clothesline by their feet so they could drain out before we plucked them. And we would come in there right quick, because we were scared to death of Aunt Bess. And besides that, we'd seen what she'd done to them chickens. So, the millisecond them chickens was tied up on the clothesline, woman a few words that she was, not a word out of her mouth, but instead the millisecond the chickens went up on the clothesline, just this. She'd turn her head. She'd look at the house. And out of the house, like he was on some kind of giant rubber band, would come Uncle George carrying a big cauldron of boiling water with heavy pot holders and whining under his breath all the way across the yard about, I've cleaned and plucked enough chickens to suit me for the rest of my life. Never see another chicken again. Be too soon, son. So you start to cuss him. She'd smack him if she heard him cussing on the Sabbath. Wouldn't put up with none of that. Well, she used to sing this song on the way out to get the Sunday chickens. And if we do a good job of singing this and playing this for you, you should be, without even having to watch us, you could close your eyes and in your mind's eye see them chickens. This is the Cluck Old Hen. Sometimes 8, sometimes 10, plenty of eggs for the railroad men. Cluck, oh hen, cluck and squaw, ain't laid an egg since way last fall. Cluck, oh hen, cluck when I tell you, cluck, oh hen, or am I gonna sell you? chicken feed. Cluck-o hen, cluck and squaw, ain't laid an egg since well last fall. Cluck-o hen, cluck when I tell ya, cluck-o hen, or am I gonna sell ya? Gentlemen, can I persuade her by gunner lariat to lay eggs for the proletariat? Cluck-o hen, cluck and squaw, ain't laid an egg since way last fall. Cluck-o hen, cluck when I tell you, cluck-o hen, or am I gonna sell you?
The Bryan Bowers Band. Well, thank you very much for spending your time with us. When asked how he would like to be remembered, Dave Brubeck said, as someone who has opened doors. Well, opening doors in any endeavor takes creativity, courage, being in touch with something no one else has. When he was first discovered by the Dillards and Sam Bush and the rest, it was clear that Bryan was giving the world something that was brand new. And in your life, you can do the same. Music can help you open your heart and mind, look at things in a new way. You never know what's going to happen. Well, I'm Ken Hardley. We'll see you next time on
You've been listening to Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Harley, episode 83. Special thanks to the Bryan Bowers Band. The Rolling Hills Radio cast and crew are producer and setting personal boundaries, Kathy Harley. Audio, Steve, why didn't someone tell me water and electricity don't mix, Chapel. Assistant director and making himself indispensable, Diamond Dick Gould. Stage manager and animal tamer, Bryan Fidel. Geiger counter operator, Tom Fidel. Dispensing theme music, Nicole Chappell. Men's room monitor, Susan George. Administrative director, Jim, the Jimster Goodling. Video, Cranky Plate Productions, Cranking It Out. And technical consultant, Ed, only points with his elbow, Tomasini. I'm Julia Cecil Hanley, reminding you not to run with scissors. Please join us next time on Rolling Hills Radio with Ken Hardley.